Hello, everyone. Welcome back to With Infinite Love. My name is Kalila, and today we're doing a collective reading. And we're doing a collective reading because I sat down to film short form content, and I wanted to try to use the Alleyman's tarot so that I can make better friends with it because it's really a delightful deck. It's just there's so many one-offs. Anyways, this is what came out. All 9 cards came out all at once, and I was going to put them back in the deck because I was like, no. And Spirit was like, yes. And so I said, okay. And so I laid them out, and I saw that what we have here are three separate stories that all come together. Bottom of your deck energy here is the Ace of Swords, which is truth and clarity and a new beginning and a new perspective and all of those things, right? But the bottom the bottom line with this reading is I think that I couldn't fit this reading into the 3 minutes that I would need for a short or for an Instagram reel. And so it really I couldn't do it justice. So we're going to talk about it in a slower fashion and really just we're going to dig into this a little bit. So yeah, as with everything else, take it if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. If it triggers you, it's not for you. All of those things, right? But okay, so we're going to start with this first set of cards here that came out together. This is the Blood Death, the Bogeyman, and the Three of Books. And so these cards here are the first little like theme that came out. And so the Blood Death is I'm having a hard time speaking because I'm trying to rush through this. Slow down, Kalila. Okay. So the Blood Death is about pain first and foremost. This is the card of it's really like when I looked it up in the book, and it's really just about pain. And if it stays too long, it's because you are keeping it going because of whatever. But really, that's the bottom line. One word for the meaning of that. The bogeyman is about a fear that is ultimately illusory. Like the bogeyman doesn't exist, right? And so your fear, this thing that you're afraid of here, that maybe has you in this pain, is not actually real. And that's not saying your pain is not real, but the impetus behind your pain is maybe not as solid as you're working it up to be in your mind. Because this came out then with the Three of Books. And the Three of Books is about learning and education and using logic instead of superstition to make choices and decisions in your life. And so that's really, I think, if you are stuck in this pain cycle, you're being invited here to look into what it is that you are so certain is true and use your logical mind and say, is that true? Does that have to be true? Am I keeping myself in this cycle of pain because I won't examine my beliefs on some level? Okay, so that's your first set of cards here. The next ones that came up, we have the Seven of Pentacles, the Nine of Clocks, and the Lone and Level Sands. And so the Seven of Pentacles, usually we're talking about we've planted seeds and we've done the work, and now we have to sit back and kind of wait for the harvest because we don't want to move too soon and try to pluck things before they're ripe. So it is usually a card that talks about patience, and letting things come to fruition in their own time. The Nine of Clocks really talks about kind of how everyone is on their own unique timeline and they're all correct. So there's 9 different clocks here. They're all showing different times, and that is okay. And so there again, this is a card of, I think, maybe you're wanting to take an action to get yourself back on track with whatever timeline you have in your head, and it's saying, hey, you're fine where you are. Let this unfold. Don't beat yourself up. And then we have the Lone and Level Sands, which is this is a reference to the final line in a poem by Shelley. If you know it, that can help. But if you don't, the bottom line is that it's the story of this statue of this conqueror who could not be defeated, and the statue has over time broken down and is in disarray, and there's nothing left of the kingdom that this conqueror who was so invincible had built. And it's really it's a card of hubris, of thinking that you are untouchable when really everything comes to an end, right? And so when these three came out in a group, it was really, for me, it's about perspective. It's about, yes, doing the work, but also realizing that wherever you are is correct, and also having that perspective that, you know what, in the grand scheme of things, yes, our lives matter, but these often we tend to take ourselves a little too seriously sometimes and think that what we're building needs to be this grand thing or it's not worth doing. And the work is, I think, the important part here, not the timing, not the legacy. It's showing up every day and having the humility to recognize that there are so many things that are bigger than us, that ultimately our successes and failures often don't matter in the grand scheme of things to people outside of us and our circle. And not that's this is not meant to be taken in a disempowering way. If it is, then check your illusions over here. But it's more of a realization that you can do what lights you up, and it's fine. That's enough. Because our last set of cards over here has all of this really lovely energy with the Queen of Pentacles and the Empress. These are kind of the same types of energies. The Queen of Pentacles I often hear referred to as the baby Empress. But with these coming out, this is abundance, and it's taking care of people, but it's also emotional freedom. It's nurturing. It's, yes, receptive energy, but it's also, also about divine timing. With the Empress, knows how to wait. She's often depicted pregnant, and the fullness that will come to fruition in its own time is part of the message typically of the Empress. But this is knowing that you have the practical skills to have a joyful life. Is coming out with the Lovers here. There is love and joy and abundance and things to be had despite these other things that might be going on. Your bottom of the deck energy, I said, was the Ace of Swords. This is an invitation into the deeper truth here, that yes, you have pain and fear, and logic can help you deal with those sometimes. And yes, you have hard work and you have goals, but showing up, how you show up in your day-to-day life, is what's important. And you have love and abundance and like I say, emotional freedom and of community that you can all take joy in today without if you allow yourself to see it, I think is really the bottom line there. So, like I say, this was not meant to be a big long reading today, but I could not squeeze all of this into 3 minutes. So I decided to turn it into a collective reading and hopefully get this out to you tonight. But I hope this was helpful. If it was, go ahead and push all the buttons and let me know. Leave a comment to say how this resonated for you if you like. And the other thing here too is if this is a little overwhelming, then there is an invitation here to meditate on it, to sit with it or to walk away and let it percolate in the background. And whatever you need from this will absolutely come through in its own time. But thank you for sharing your energy with me today, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night wherever you are, and take care. Bye bye.